The biggest mystery in all of Security Breach being Patient 46 was just solved. But let's just say fans aren't too happy about who they were revealed to be. So FNAF Security Breach has always been known for its somewhat lacking gameplay and story elements, which obviously was very disappointing. However, one thing that even to this day was yet to be solved was the mystery of Patient 46, a secret character inside a Security Breach whose story is told through hidden CDs throughout the map, where we hear of multiple different therapists trying to dissect them and their personality, only for said therapists to randomly go missing throughout the disc, with one of them even being found dead. Now, Patient 46 for the longest time was an incredibly misunderstood character, with some theorizing that they could be characters like Vanny because of their manipulative behavior, or even Elizabeth Afton, since in different translations of FNAF Security Breach, the therapists refer to Patient 46 as a female character. Not to mention the many implications that they were a child, since the therapists seemed to talk down to them throughout the sessions.
It came across as more of an objective rather than a subjective narrative. Sorry. You don't know what that means, do you?
However, recently, a brand new FNAF book called Five Nights at Freddy's Tales from the Pizza Plex, The Bobby Dots, was revealed, which is supposed to officially release this upcoming March. However, just the other day, the book stories would actually end up being leaked. More specifically, the first of the 3 stories inside of the book leaked, called GGY. And in the story, we are told about a child named Tony who in his class was assigned to write a mystery story of some sorts with his friends, who, might I mention, were given aliases of Rab and Boots. Anyway, afterwards, Tony then heads to the infamous Pizzaplex to find some form of mysteries to talk about. And to his surprise, he saw that every arcade machine in the Pizzaplex had one name on top of every single scoreboard going by the alias GGY. So with this being said, Tony bases his story on the mysteries of GGY and their identity. Now, after this discovery, Tony asks around the Pizzaplex to uncover the identity of GGY, and one employee said that they were rumored to have stolen a security badge to play arcade games that night during after hours. And following this, the next day, Tony himself steals the keycard to check the databases of the Pizzaplex and finds that the mysterious GGY himself had a play pass that also, after some sort of tampering, doubled as a security badge, being used specifically by 3 different people. One named Mary Schneider, another named Raylan Lawrence, and finally one named Trina Welsh. Tony, after asking around more, then makes the discovery through the news that Mary Schneider, one of the people who had used GGY's security pass, was once a counselor inside of Tony's school and also had randomly gone missing 5 months ago. But after she was replaced by a new counselor named Raylan Lawrence, the second name on the security badge, she too also went missing. And finally, when Raylan was replaced by another new counselor, Trina Welsh, the third and final name on the security badge, Trina once again went missing like the others. Now, maybe at this point you can already see the correlation between Patient 46 and this mysterious GGY character, but I'll continue. So with the counselors that went missing going to Tony's school, he made the assumption that whoever GGY was, they also must have gone to his exact same school. And after GGY got caught by these therapists for somehow manipulating the Pizzaplex and the animatronics inside, they brought them into the Pizzaplex to somehow make them go missing, hence why their name is shown on the security badge. This story then ends with Tony writing about the mystery before one of his classmates from the beginning of the story, whose alias was just Rab, hated this GGY story and entirely rewrote the project, before Tony gets angry and starts referring to Rab as his real name being Greg, with Greg then telling Tony to ignore the story entirely and to even follow him into the Pizzaplex later, which is where the story closes. So if you couldn't tell from the summary, this basically tells us everything we need to know about Patient 46 and who they are. You see, the character GGY from the story perfectly resembles Patient 46 from Security Breach's CDs. They are both described as young children who both loved to visit the Pizzaplex, and both were incredibly proficient hackers who were caught tampering with the animatronics and sneaking into the Pizzaplex when they weren't supposed to. They are clearly the same person. But if these two are the same person, then who in the world is GGY? Well, I think it's kind of obvious at this point. Like we said, when Tony brought up the story to his friend named Greg, he tried to entirely throw it out and ignore it, with Greg even attempting to bring Tony to the Pizzaplex to presumably do the same thing to him as what he did to the therapist who eventually went missing. Meaning quite clearly GGY, and therefore Patient 46, has to be this child Greg from Tony's school, whose alias on the arcade game was just GGY, probably referring to his nickname being named Gregory. The same Gregory who we play as in Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. I think it's a closed case at this point. Now, you're probably asking to yourself, how could Patient 46 be Gregory when, like I just said, in some languages they were confirmed to be a girl, while Gregory, of course, is a boy? And the reason for this, at least from what I've read up on, is that apparently there was an error in translation when releasing the game in other non-English countries that accidentally referred to Patient 46 as a female when in all reality their gender inside of the CDs was never supposed to be revealed at the time, which is a massive slip up. But at least in the end, we now know their true identity being none other than Gregory. This makes so much more sense to the story, and it explains a lot from the CDs in Security Breach. Like how one of the therapists described Patient 46 as good with self-dialogue, since I mean we spend all of Security Breach listening to him constantly talk with himself in the animatronics to the point where it gets annoying. So these two line up to perfection in terms of personality. However, while this finally confirms the real identity of Patient 46 over a year after Security Breach's launch, like most things, fans were not at all happy with this news. See, a lot of people were incredibly upset that of all people to be Patient 46, this big long-running mystery, it had to be Gregory, especially since characters like Vanny, who were supposed to be incredibly important to the story, barely show up in the actual game at all. So I feel like a lot of people were subconsciously hoping Patient 46 would be something new that would expand upon Vanny's story or just something more. Also, it sort of annoyed a lot of people that of all places the developers would hold literally the biggest question in all of Security Breach, whether that be Steelwool Studios' decision or Scott Cawthon himself, instead of saving this crucial info for the Ruin DLC or implementing it inside of the base game, they chose to put it inside the first story of the 5th edition of a FNAF book. And you know what, I have to agree to an extent, because honestly 99% of fans, including myself, just can't be bothered to read these books, and hiding such a massive reveal like this out of nowhere just feels a little bit like a letdown. But reception to this information aside, this story also brings up one incredibly key question to Security Breach and the future of FNAF, which is, does this mean that Gregory is actually a bad guy in Security Breach? And if so, why was he acting nice in the main game? Was all of Security Breach from Gregory's perspective one big act? Well, no, not exactly. In fact, quite the opposite, at least I think. Simple reason being, when playing as Gregory in Security Breach, it's clear that he doesn't remember a single thing about being Patient 46. When we explore the game, his personality shown throughout the playthrough is entirely different than what we see from Patient 46 in the CDs, or even GGY from the Tales of the Pizza Place story, with him not recognizing any notable parts of the Pizza Place like Vanny, despite the GGY story taking place before Security Breach even happens. Not to mention other shifts in character, like in the Patient 46 tapes where he seems unfazed when hearing about what happened to the previous therapist.
I don't want to scare you, but I have to tell you that one of them was found dead. That doesn't seem to upset you. Well, then I guess I'll go ahead and tell you that the woman's body was pretty messed up. It looked like it was mangled by machinery. That doesn't bother you either?
Yet, when something very similar happened in the Vanny ending, Gregory is visibly afraid of watching her get taken apart. So clearly something happened between the GGY story and Security Breach that somehow changed Gregory from evil and manipulative to just a normal, naive child. But what is it? Well, to be honest, we don't know for sure right now. However, for now, we are left with this one answer, but a ton of different questions. Like, for example, Gregory was described in the Patient 46 tapes as talking to someone with bunny ears of some sorts. But who is this said person? Is it Vanny? Why was Gregory going to therapy in the first place, and why was he manipulating animatronics? Well, I personally think that this is all setting us up for the Ruin DLC releasing this year, that, as we know, is supposed to take a much darker turn for the series, and I think that, controversy aside, the twist of having the character we are closest to in Security Breach, Gregory, possibly being one of the biggest villains, is a great twist that I hope gets expanded upon in the DLC. But let me know your theories in the comments below. I'm sure I missed something, because up until like a week ago, I didn't even really pay attention to any recent FNAF lore, so I'm sure there's something I forgot to mention. But to learn everything else we know about Ruin, like potential release dates, check this video out here, subscribe, and peace.